Let's see how we can show an offline notice when the user's device is offline. So here in the components folder, I'm going to add a new file called offline-notice.js. First, I want to work on the look and feel of this component to make sure it has the right look and feel. Then I'm going to bring in netinfo to show this only when the device is offline. So here we have a container. Inside this container, I'm going to add an app text and say no internet connection. Now let's rename app text to text. That's cleaner. Now let's apply a bunch of styles here. So I want to set the background color of this container to colors.primary. Next, I'm going to give it a height of 50 pixels. Now I want to make sure that this always appears on the top. So I'm going to set the position to absolute. Now let's test our app up to this point. So save the changes. Here's a question. Where should we use this component? We don't want to add this to every single screen because that is repetitive. So we should add this to our app component. So here's our navigation container. Right above that, I'm going to add our offline notice. If the device is offline, this component is going to render that red bar, okay? Now, because we have multiple components here, we should wrap them inside a fragment. So we have a single element or a single component returned from this function. Okay, let's take a look. All right, we don't see our offline notice because it's covered by this screen. To solve this problem, here we should apply a z index of 1. This will bring this component to the top. So take a look. It's not here. Let's reload the app. Okay, here's our red bar. It looks a bit weird. So first, let's change the width to 100%. So width is 100%. All right, it looks better. Now we want to put this right below the notch on iPhone or the status bar on Android. To do that, on the top, we're going to import constants from expo-constants. We talked about this library in the first part of the course. So here I'm going to set the top property to constants.statusBarHeight. Now take a look. It's better. Now I want to put the text in the center of this container. That is super easy. Here we have to apply two properties, align items and justify content. We set both of these to center. Okay, that looks much better. Now finally, I want to make the text white. So let's define a new style here. Text. We're going to set the color to colors.white. And then we're going to apply our new style here. Okay, take a look. That looks pretty good. Now we want to show this only when the device is offline. So on the top, let's import use netinfo from @react-native-community/netinfo. Now we call this hook to get a netinfo object. Now before working with this, let's just log it on the console. All right. Now I'm going to reload the app. Okay. Now in Metro Bundler, let's look at the log for this iPhone. So here's what we get. We get 3 objects logged on the console. Initially, the type of connection is unknown and is internet reachable is false. At this point, we don't want to show the offline notice because the type of connection is not determined yet. So this is too early to show the notice. So look at our second object. At this point, the type of connection is determined. So we have a Wi-Fi connection, but we still don't know if internet is reachable or not, because at this point, netinfo is pinging a remote server to see if internet is reachable. So again, at this point, we don't want to show the offline notice. So we should show the offline notice only if the type of connection has been determined and is internet reachable is false. So let's remove console.log. If netinfo, the type is not unknown, and netinfo is internet reachable is false, then we want to render this container. So note that here I'm explicitly comparing this with false. I'm not treating this as a falsy, because if this property is null, then applying the not operator on null would produce true. We don't want that. So here we should explicitly check for a false value. So under these conditions, we're going to render the container. Otherwise, we're going to return null. Take a look. So let's reload the app. Okay, we don't see the notice. Now I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi. Okay, here's the notice. It looks beautiful. Now if I turn the Wi-Fi back on, the notice doesn't go away. This is a problem with the simulator. If you test this on a real device, it works perfectly fine. So just put your phone on airplane mode. You will see the notice, then disable the airplane mode. The notice will disappear. Okay. So we have reached the end of this section. I will see you in the next section.